Welcome to the Six-Figure Author Experiment, where we help you break through your first or next $100,000 goal. Parental discretion is advised. Now, let's get on with the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the, oh my God, I almost said the Kickstarter book sales podcast, the Six-Figure Author Experiment podcast. I'm Russell Nolte, Lee.
And I'm Lisa Vino.
And today,
I'm Melissa Storm.
Yes, today we have the awesome Melissa Storm to talk about Kickstarter, because in the past, when you're listening to this, but right now, we just, Melissa and I just released a Kickstarter comic for our sexy romance comic. And I'm excited to talk about that, especially because Lee was like, I need to talk about Kickstarter at some point. And I was like, well, do I have the episode for you that dovetails into all of your interests? It's Kickstarter. It's like launches and it's romance. And it's sexy.
So excited. It is an awesome comic, guys. You should definitely check it out on Kickstarter. And just so you know, I'm a Kickstarter virgin. I said I wasn't going to do dirty jokes, guys. I'm sorry. That just slipped out. That's what she said. And so congratulations on your launch day. What do you call it?
Yes. On our launch, I guess, is what I was saying before. And most people aren't congratulatory. They're like, are you okay still? Like, that's how most Kickstarter is like, is a lot of mindset of like, oh my God, I just spent so much money on a book and I have 30 days in which to make all of the money on it, especially with comics, because like comics doesn't have the aftermarket of like books and other things. Like there's not even a comiXology anymore. So with comics, it's like, I need to make 100% of the money right now. And so, yeah, it gets a lot. That's not how we do books, though.
Can I add two things real quick?
Yeah.
I do this too much, and I get the Apple balloons popping up in my screen. Anyways, if you see it visually, it's really festive. But I wanted to say, while Lee is a Kickstarter virgin, Russell popped my Kickstarter cherry. So this is my first one. You started it, so
I did start it.
It's not my fault. I had to continue the beautiful metaphor. This is my very first one, so it's like a really interesting perspective of Russell being like the Kickstarter guy, the king, and me being new. And I just also wanted to say that, like, if you think of Melissa Storm, you probably don't think of NSFW 18 plus sexy comics. This is under a pen name of mine, but it is me. I'm happy to own it. It's a really cool project. For readers' purposes, I don't want my sweet and inspirational romance readers to wander on over and have to bleach their eyeballs. So
they already are putting their headphones in for this podcast.
Right. Yes. So, and on top of that, this is also your first comic, right?
Yes, a lot of firsts. Russell has all the cherries.
And I guess I'm just the
cherry daddy, cherry poppin' daddy.
I guess I'm just the Kickstarter slut then. It's just like
I'm
I've done
so
my
happy
30.
right now. My erotica heart is so happy. But let me just put this in context for everyone listening. This podcast is all about six-figure author experiments, launching, mindset, and we've talked about Russell's project, putting up books that he's already launched on Kickstarter onto Amazon and wide retailers like Kobo and Barnes & Noble, all that jazz. And I was interested in Kickstarter because I've always done Amazon and Kobo and all that jazz and not Kickstarter. And it occurred to me, you already have a proven concept. You already had a successful Kickstarter on your series that you're now launching over there. So we figured we would talk about Kickstarter on this episode.
Well, and what's interesting about this is, Melissa, do you want to talk a little bit about the past? Because kind of Melissa we did the opposite, where like we took a story that she had that was very popular and we like made it a comic and brought it to Kickstarter.
Let's be fair. It wasn't very popular. It was just that it was very close to my heart. When I wrote it, I'm like, this is the best thing I ever wrote. And I do that for most of my 100 plus books I've written. But this story felt really special. So when Russell and I randomly decided we wanted to do a comic together, I said, hey, here's some of my shorts. And he just fell in love with Death's Kiss. It was just like the perfect synchronicity.
Yeah, I mean, death mythology is kind of my thing. And so like anything about death mythology, I'm just going to like really fall. I heard the word psychopomp for the first time, which is like that generic term for a Grim Reaper. And I was listening to a book yesterday and Hermes was called the Chief Psychopomp. And I was like, I know what that is now.
We're all learning constantly all the time.
I'm learning too. Yeah.
My favorite part of Death's Kiss is like, yes, it's a beautiful, tragic love story, forbid and all that. But my favorite part is I love bringing in other cultures. So I didn't want to just do like, it's a Reaper, it's the Reaper culture. So there's a side character that I'm obsessed with called the Painted Reaper. And it is the Mexican like painted skull, who are psychopomps for those culture, but it's slowly transforming into a Grim Reaper as the dominant culture and westernization starts to take over other countries. And I just like think that character is so cool. That character is bilingual. It just like it feels so otherworldly in a different way to me rather than sticking with one culture.
And we're already bilingual because we made the book in English and French. So, and then there's Spanish on top of that.
Yes. Yes. We had a worldwide team on this.
Lovely. So it was all those translated editions in this one Kickstarter?
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't have a Spanish version. So the Painted Reaper speaks English, but throws in Spanish phrases for emphasis, like also to show the war of the two cultures. So that was really important characterization wise. But then we translated the whole thing into French, leaving what was Spanish.
Including the title, and like basically everything costs double because we had like 2 logos and two script translations and like 2 lettering things. And so I mean it was great. I love all the, and like then we had to figure out how to put it all on a page. So I want to turn it over, I think, to Lee, because I can talk like I've done 30 campaigns, and now Melissa and I have done enough work that we can kind of talk like that, like Kickstarter expert humans, or at least that we've gone through the process. I feel like I'm going to talk way above like the level that like maybe the people listening need to hear it at. So why don't you ask some questions, Lee?
Yeah. So what I can gather is you put the project up and you say it's coming, and you can follow the project, which I did. And then I got an email saying it's live, and I'm using like my Amazon terms, like it's on pre-order, now it's live, but it's not live because the project you're able to back, meaning put money towards it so that it comes to you, but it doesn't come to you for 30 days. How does the delivery work?
Okay, so once the Kickstarter is funded, then the money comes to you in 14 days after that, after the project is funded. So they have 7 days where they try to collect all of the pledges. And then they have 7 days of processing time, which basically is like, we want to earn interest on the money that we just collected. And then they give you the money 14, or like it's like processed after 14 days. So if you do it on a Friday, it usually comes like on the Monday or Tuesday. If you do it on a Wednesday, it usually comes on the Thursday or Friday. So it's like, but then it's up to the creators to like depending on where you are in your process, you might not even have a book yet. Like you might only have a cover. Like you might have the book already done. Like for our campaign, we had the entire project, like basically except for one cover, it was done before we signed with our publisher, and it was completely done before we started the project. Some people will do like 5 pages of art. Some people will just do the art. And then like I like to say you should at least have I call it the Brandon Sanderson. So like Brandon Sanderson did this campaign, it was $41 million. And like in the video, he's like, I have these 4 manuscripts done. They're done. They're ready to send to an editor. And like then he had the covers of the books. So like you should at least be that far along with it generally, especially if you're doing your first one, not only because then it will give the backers more permission, but one thing people do not think about is how stressful it is to owe people, to have taken money from somebody and then owe them a thing for months.
Like the ultimate pre-order deadline. Like,
yes,
surprise, there's something even worse.
Yes.
Russell and I did things pretty extreme and different, I would think, than is the norm. I kind of live life by the motto, if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. And Russell and I connected on that. So we decided we wanted to go balls to the wall. I can't stop now that you've started it. I have
It's
OCD,
okay.
so the sex metaphors will keep happening now that they're in the brain. But we're like, hey, let's get the best artists. Let's do 1,000,000 covers and have all the best designers, like proper like DC comic book artists. And we just went so gangbusters. Eventually we realized like, oh, we've spent over $10,000. Maybe we should like chill a little bit. But it was a really fun experience because our vibes and expectations matched. And I don't think it's the norm for authors to invest so much money before they know whether a project will fund.
Yeah, but one thing about doing a project that was like, because it was highly downloaded. I think like this was like a very like it was downloaded a lot of times, right? Like this particular project for you, Melissa, right?
It was part of an anthology I did.
Okay. But like,
so I think that anthology hit a list.
Sure. So like we had it wasn't like people downloaded the thing and were like, I hate this, or we had no data at all. We had some inkling that it worked and like that it resonated with people before, which is why it's so nice to take something from that like worked on Amazon and do like an anniversary edition or like do a special edition hardcover or like something because you're like, oh, well, I already made money on this book. Like it's already in the positive. So like when we talk about the Godsverse Chronicles, like I think we said what last time or the time before, like it's made $85,000. And like that's just on Kickstarter. And then it's made like probably like 100,000 more dollars like at shows and conventions and other places. So it's like it's massively successful on this series. And like so dropping more money on it, I'm like, oh, well, that's how I kind of felt about this project. It's like we knew on some level it worked. And then it became, we really love, a lot of it was like, so like Luca's a great example. So like Luca Strati is one of our cover artists and he sent 4 designs and like 2 of them were just exceptional enough to make. And so he's like, which one do you want? And we both kind of, I mean, digitally looked at each other and we're like both. It's like at this point you're so far into it, like what are you gonna do? Not like do it's like a few $100s gonna make or break this like thing, and like are you gonna, a lot of it is like, do I think I'm gonna make more than this cover costs? And like the answer was yes. So a lot of it was just like I had a dream team of people that I wanted, that I like kind of like was like, what about this person? She's really expensive, but like I really love her. And like because my other philosophy was like Melissa's a like very popular author, and I didn't want to do anything that would like stop someone from backing, because this is a very like weird off project that most romance people still don't know about. So I was like, well, we should just hire an artist that I know is popular on Kickstarter and also mainstream popular, as opposed to like my weird artists that like, don't have a following, or like I like to bring artists from different genres and like put them in like horror or something, some other genre that like it's not common. So I was like, let's just hire the art team that like is going to give us the least friction.
I had a double crash course learning comics and Kickstarter at once. And while like Russell, I love data and proven products, like I'm known as the Facebook ads lady. For me, what was really special about this project, and you may know a thing or two about manifestation, maybe, Lee. That might be a topic you like. But for me, the most important part was that Russell and I really believed in this project and were excited and built off each other's energy. That was always, for me, the key component that was going to make it successful. Because if I was just looking at data, I would say, Russell, we have to do cats. We have to do cats. That's where I make all my money. It has to be a cat. No, you can't have this book. But because we both put so much energy and positivity behind it, I think that was just a huge part of why it worked.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And like I like to think of partnerships as like yes and, it's like, okay, yes, we should do that. And like, yes, you have positive energy, so I want you to feel that. And what is another thing that we can do to like either cut off, like to like maybe take money from one place to put it to it, but we didn't do that in this project. We just put more money in all of the places. But I also just knew like, oh, if you're gonna make a sexy romance comic, like it's probably like it's gonna kill on Kickstarter, probably. Like that's the like paranormal romance with like sex is like the most popular genre on, yeah, aside from maybe like superheroes that have sex on them. So like if you want to make a lot of money, like that's what you do. So like when I looked at the just something like three, and I was like, all of these would do really well. So that's great. Now it's just like, which do I resonate with? And so yeah, we but I still try to be like, here are all of the tenets that I know about Kickstarter comics, and like we're going to check, we already check every box. So, you know, if we had done a different story, probably even if we'd done the cat, like something with cats in it or something, I'd be like, it's not going to be super popular on Kickstarter. So like maybe we should like hold off or hold back. But like this just like checked every box. And it was just it was so gratifying that like the publisher that we ended up having, I just sent it to her to be like, hey, you do not safe for work comics. Can you just look and see if I make sure I didn't like screw anything up? And she's like, I love it. I want to publish it. And I was like, oh, that probably speaks very highly into how this worked, because like she didn't have to say that. I wasn't asking her. I wasn't submitting it. I was just trying to make sure we didn't mess up.
Yeah, and at
I
that
saw
point,
it. Looks great.
we had done most of the fun part already. So I was like, sure, sure, let somebody else pick it up and run.
What's also really interesting about having a partnership like this is our zones of genius have like overlap, but they're mostly different zones of genius. And like, and on top of that, like the things we were interested in really caring about were like complementary. Like I had a lot of thoughts about like what artists we should hire and like what format we should be. And like then Melissa had thoughts that were like, she's like, oh, well, yeah, whatever. I'm just going to trust you. And then like when Melissa was like, I care about this, this, and this, I'm like, okay, I don't care about that as much. So like if you have thoughts, go for it.
Yeah, you said it checked every box, and then I'm like, and then I added additional boxes. Like, if we're gonna do an SK French story, that whole fan base is in France, so we need to do French, which was the biggest complication I added. But I also got obsessed with the copy and the SEO. So I had a lot of fun researching SEO on Kickstarter and just tweaking the text to make sure all those search terms were there.
It's interesting because I feel like this episode is now as much about making a partnership as it's about Kickstarter, but
Which is so great because I love co-writing and collaboration, and that's going to definitely be some other episodes. But yeah, keep it coming. And now I want to know about the launch. I do want to know what you're doing to launch this. No pressure. We can talk it through. It's fine. But I also want to know, Russell, from your other campaigns, which might not necessarily have been a comic, because unless you're drawing it yourself, it sounds like there's a lot of money involved and a Kickstarter is perfect for it and the audience is perfect. But, you know, as a baby Kickstarter person, I'm probably not going to do a comic first. So I would do like discrete editions and a tarot deck or something. So if you could talk about this launch, and Russell, your other launches.
sure. Melissa, you want to talk about kind of what we did and how we built up to it?
Sure. First of all, one thing I think that's really important to note is we took a 15,000 word short story and adapted that. Adapting a full novel, I think, would be a lot harder, or a lot more. You'd need a lot more pages, or you'd need multiple books to tell the full story. So we really wanted a one shot. And then also Russell and I voluntarily chose more expensive artists. So maybe the cost would be the same if you did things differently with a longer book, but lower caliber artists. All artists are amazing. Just we got pricey ones and we felt they were worth every penny.
Oh yeah, this single issue cost as much or more. Actually, it costs more than many graphic novels that I've made in my career.
How long is the novella? Just speak my language.
15,000 words.
Got
And
it.
then that was down to about 24 pages of art. And that's pretty consistent. I would think like I do books that are like 40 to 60,000 words, and they're about like 80 to 100 pages of art. So like that's pretty consistent from what I've seen in other things. Now, it's not a one-to-one translation though. It's like you are just like when you are translating a book into Japanese or French or Spanish, like it's a wholly different thing. Like you're translating, like a lot of people that make comics, they are like, oh, I'm just gonna make this entire every word is going to be in there. And so it's like 10 pages of back and forth dialogue. And unless you're Alan Moore or Neil Gaiman, like even they probably couldn't get away with making that like so word heavy book now. So there's a lot of like, oh, like how do I take this and make it work? Because you're not a lot, like all of the prose is like you could have 50,000, like you could have 1,000 words of prose that is just like, oh, well, we're just gonna look at this room and like, look, it's the room. You just see it in the room. So you don't have to like translate those bits.
It helps that I'm a number 3 activator high, Clifton Strengths. So it helps that I already write really page turning, fast paced books, because if we get into too much description, I get bored and I don't want my readers to be bored. So I think that helped with the adaptation. The other thing is, while I'm obviously extremely sexy in person, I have a hard time being sexy in my books because most of them have been squeaky clean. I'm best known for cozy mysteries. There's no language or sexual content. And my New York Times bestselling stuff is women's fiction that is clean with no sexual content or language. So it's really hard for me when I do projects that I want sexy in. It's really hard for me to build out those scenes. So I loved comic form. Like I would love writing straight to comic, because the sex scenes, which Russell beautifully adapted in the scripts, were like moan special effects. And I'm like, yes, I wish I could do this in my books. Moaning special effects, like perfect.
That's amazing.
Okay, you know how sex works, people. Like, I don't know what else to say. Yay,
Right.
It was really good and they did this position, and that actually works with comics, so that was a really big plus for me.
Yeah, it's the same thing with action. Like I write most the action adventure, like off at least an action adventure template. And it's like in books, I'm like, oh my God, can I just, oh, so like in comics, you can literally be like, this is 2-page scene. Once you know an artist well enough, often I will be like, they fight for 2 pages and then this happens. Like just make it look good. And like you can't do that in a book, punching or like sexy times, but like in a
That's what I do in my first drafts though. Insert sex scene.
Yeah. So yeah, and we built up to that. We started last August and we had a meeting and like we talked about a bunch of different things. Then Melissa was like, "Oh, kind of want to do a comic," and I'm like, "Well, like now you're speaking my language. Like there's probably no one else in the world that you should work with to make a comic from a thing that you've already done. Aside from like I'm probably done the most and like at least on Kickstarter of anyone that I know, because I have translated my books into comics and my comics into books and vice versa for most everything that I've done. So we did decide to do a one-off book. I think that's really important if you're going to do comics. If you're going to do like a bring to Kickstarter one of the books you've already made, I also recommend doing like something that is standalone or like a complete series. The problem with a complete series is usually then you have to print a bunch of different books. And like if you hate it and you do one book, like you can just be done. And that was really my thing with like, it's like I want to make sure, because there's one thing to say I want to make a comic. It's another thing to go through the rigmarole of making a comic, come out the other end and be like, I still want to make a comic, which like very few people want to go on that journey a second time. Like very few people want to make, like everyone wants to have a special edition hardcover, but very few people want to do the work to like make the new cover and source like the foil and like source like the printing and get like all the things matched up and like then get illustrations and like make it all work and like hire a new designer to like not like very few people want to go through that process a second time. And I would say want to go through it with more than one book. So that's why I'm like, if you have 6 special edition hardcovers, you have to do it 6 times. Like if in one campaign, you still have to
Right.
do all 6 of them. So like do it for like one anniversary book you pull from your back catalog. And I've done everything from like, I'm just gonna do a new release on Kickstarter to like I'm doing a special edition to I'm doing a $30,000 campaign. I've kind of been all over the place on there, and there's a place for all of them. But I think my happy place is like I am releasing this book only to fans. It will never be on Amazon. It's just a special thing for y'all. And like, I'm not going to do like a special print or anything. It's just like, it's literally all special. And then it will be inside my membership community to help add value. And I think that's just doesn't make like, it's a thing that doesn't make sense without like having a Patreon or like a Substack or something, and then also having a Kickstarter. But like, we all know how to like, there are genres that just are going to make more money on Amazon. And then like and like if you write in an off genre, you might make some money, or like, man, it might affect your also bots or something. I don't know like what like would happen, but by being able to say, hey, I'm releasing this book only in ebook later in my community. And like, if you want it in print, you've got to get it now, or like you will not be able to get it, has been a thing. I'll make $5,000 on a book, which like to write a weird book and make $5,000 on it's like pretty good. Like I'm not like complaining about those. Like I'm never going to kick $5,000 out of bed, but like, those are the kind of like low risk, low reward projects that I think I'm most comfortable with right now, because like I do have high anxiety. And like, even though we're $9,000 on a $10,000 project, I'm still sitting here being like, will it hit 30 grand though? And like when I wake up day 2 of a campaign that like is going to make $5,000, I probably made $2,000. I probably like doubled my cost, paid off all of my like fees, and I'm just like, oh cool. Like I don't care anymore like what happens. I just like it's done. Like it's done or it's not done.
I came to it really open, and just I kept telling Russell I have no expectations. He's like, it's gonna make $50,000. I'm like, I have no expectations. And I wasn't saying that to be mean, but like I was really enjoying the process and the new thing. So I'm like, okay, we might lose money. Okay, we might break even. Okay, we might make, 6 figures. Whatever happens, like it's been a good ride. I know I really love working with Russell. So we're talking about novels and other projects and more comics. And it takes a lot to find a co-author you really vibe with. I've had co-author successes. I've had co-author disasters. And like with Russell, it was only positive. I think we had friction one day because we were both having bad mental health days. And we like recognized it and we're like, let's do this tomorrow. Let's stop.
Good. Yeah.
But otherwise, it's been like flawless. And just in terms of partnerships, I don't know if it makes a difference, but Russell and I discovered that we're the same Enneagram type. So we just vibed and had the same goal, and we had the same like kind of brusque communication. And it's a positive thing because we always asserted our needs. Like we were never like, if you want maybe this, we're like, we're doing this. And then the other person, if they want to fight back. But like it never hurt our relationship because we communicate the same way.
Right.
And another really important thing with co-authoring is we have the same attitude toward money. That's what's killed most of my co-author relationships. When I love to spend a lot of money on projects. So when I feel like I can't do the best quality or I can't really hit it heavy with ads, like it physically hurts me. And Russell and I have like been on the same page since day one. So it was all great. And if anybody's curious, we're Enneagram 8.
Ooh. Whenever I talk to someone about co-writing or collaborating, I say, do something small, do something one-off for sure. I think that that's great. I also think the biggest measure of success is, did you love it? We talked about that last episode, and I've got my answer to that. And now I want to know, how do you advertise this? Facebook ads, newsletter, all of the above. Can we talk about some of that as part of the launch process?
Oh yeah, so let's get into the sore point that we're going through right now.
Oh no, is there a fight?
No, it's
just live.
No,
our
no, Russell and I are good. We're on
yeah,
the same page.
our publisher decided to bring in, so there's a couple of ad agencies that work with Kickstarter, and like one of them is Jellop, and so she brought them in to run ads, and like they're doing quite well. Like I'm assuming I can't publicly say like how well it's doing because like it's but
Facebook
like
ads, Google ads,
Facebook
Facebook. Okay.
ads. And I am assuming they basically were like, no one else does ads but us during the campaign, which I didn't know until like we like I'm a big proponent of letting other people have their zone of genius. And Lori was like, I want to do Jellup. They've run ads for us before. It's going great. And I'm like, cool. Like, I don't know. It's either Melissa runs ads or Jellup runs ads. Russell doesn't run ads. So it didn't. Um, but
I
there's
wanted it to be and, not or.
yes. So it turns out that it's been or. And so we've been going back and forth because we need to get like, because SK is so popular in France, like we have, it's like somebody like has to run French ads. Like I'm more agnostic than Melissa is about who runs those French ads, but like someone needs to run those ads. Otherwise, all of the time, effort, and energy we spent getting this campaign into French and like setting up the page is like useless, because like if no one sees it in France where she is popular, then like that whole market is going to be wasted on us. So we've been going back and forth. Melissa, you want to say more things about that before I?
Sure. Just like Russell keeps talking about zones of genius, and Facebook ads is really, really, really my thing. So the whole time I was like, we're bringing in Jelp. I'm like, great, I can still run ads, right? Oh yeah, sure. And then it came down today, like, oh, the budget, you can't run ads. And I'm like, who's to say I wouldn't do better than
Right,
Jello? Especially because you're not paying me for my service fee.
right.
So we're gonna get it figured out, but like, I wrote up some really good marketing copy. I spent tons of time on the page, really, really optimizing the copy and just being a giant pain in the ass about the copy. Which for the most point, Russell was like, okay, it's fine. But sometimes I'm like, it's too much copy. We're gonna cut this. And he's like, we're not gonna cut that. And I'm like, okay, I'll just add my parts in. But I've been making videos, preparing for ads, a lot of Instagram reels, and really gearing up for promoting it in France. So right now I have a lot of energy that's not being positively directed. So, I mean, it's going to work out one way or another. I think just because we're at the very beginning of the campaign, I think the publisher is a little overwhelmed because she came on late and there was still stuff to do. And the fact it's a bilingual project makes it a lot harder. So I think she's kind of overwhelmed and might need a little space. But I'm not going to shut up about French ads. So
Yes.
they're going to happen.
And so the place that we're at is like, the campaigns are 30 days long. And like, I like to break them into three major parts, which is like the launch week, the final week, and then the dead zone in the middle, where like interest has died down and like you kind of have settled into what things are going, and like you need more stuff to like do. And like so my proposal right now is like in that time, sometime in between like the start of the dead zone and like the middle of the dead zone, like French ads have to, like some part of this budget needs to be going towards the market that we spent a lot of money like catering to.
It's our giant wild card. And I told Russell that when we decided to incorporate French, he was really gracious about it. I said, this could either be a huge waste of our money or what makes it take off and phenomenal. So I'm ready to gamble. So I want to make sure I have whatever, like the dice to roll. Like we got to roll the dice at least. We can't just hold them in our palm.
Right. And I do think that probably this moment, it makes sense to not add on a different language in Facebook ads for like now, like it's been 2 days. Like let Jellup set up their thing, like get all of their, like figure out what their ROAS is, figure out what's working and not working. But then like at some point, like there will be French ads. And like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not being didactic, but both of the creators want French ads, and like we spend a lot of money in France, so like I have no problem going to Jelp and being like, you will run French ads now.
Yeah, maybe I just take over for the last 2 weeks of the campaign because they're not running Instagram ads, and I'm prepared to run Instagram and TikTok ads. I've been creating video content with that in mind. But I do want to say, like, even though this is a pain point, I don't have a regret about bringing the publisher on. She's been amazing and added so much and brought a huge fan base. So we have this one point of friction right now, which we're bringing up only because it's not resolved yet. Otherwise, it would be like, just a bump in the road. So like huge props to our publisher. She is amazing. And that was not a misstep or a mistake bringing her on board. We just have a lot going on and need to sort this piece.
Yeah, you would generally bring in a publisher like, well, in comics, like either before you like even start drawing the book or like definitely months before you run a Kickstarter campaign or once a Kickstarter campaign is done. With us, it was so we probably signed that deal if a month ago, barely a month ago. And like that's just a lot. That's a lot of prep for a publisher to do in like 4 weeks when we had to finalize the page, run do it in French, finalize like that lettering, get a cover done, get a final cover done, get the logo done, and get the logo done, then do it all in French too. So like there was a lot to do. And this is not their only project. Like that we're very blessed to have a pretty prolific, especially Kickstarter publisher. So like she's running another project now and had one that just finished and two that just finished. And they're pretty new because they just set up their new company. And so it's like I agree. Like I have no regrets going with Lori, and like Jella has a very good ROAS right now. Like I am very pleased because usually a ROAS half of what Jellop has would be like exceptional for Kickstarter, like a Kickstarter agency. But we just want more.
And you say ROAS, quick question, because this is direct sales. Can you install a pixel for Facebook ads and TikTok ads on a Kickstarter page?
Not TikTok ads, Facebook and Google.
Got it. And then it sounds like the publisher added a lot of new eyeballs, like had their own marketing tactics, not just Facebook ads, but had an audience. That's so she has an audience and then you guys have an audience. How are you guys targeting them and talking to them? And
so far, I've done nothing except for post on my secret personal profile that, hey, this exists. So all of my pieces are coming. I've been dealing with some health things that have slowed me down, but mostly I've been really fixated on, okay, I got to do ads. Okay, let's do the ads. Okay, here's the copy for the ads. So like I will send newsletters and do that kind of thing. I have some TikToks up, but I've been very fixated. I have OCD. So I've been like ads. Ads is the thing.
Yeah, and I sent an email yesterday. I'm going to send an email to a different segment of my list today, and then I'll start sending emails, like specific emails. I will say that I just launched. This is again in the past for everyone that's here, that's like listening, but like currently today I released a 14-day launch email sequence where I literally just pulled my highest converting email for each day of a launch. And like, I just was like, here is the email you send today. Here's the email you send on day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6. And I just like literally, sometimes I gave like branching options. And so like that is on at the author stack. We'll put a link in the show notes, but like basically I have the whole thing. If you want to see like, what do you do in the 2-week campaign? Like,
yeah, I want to see the playbook. I also am interested. I don't know if this would make sense. I want to see Melissa, the novella, and then the script. That would be interesting to me. I'm not sure that's proprietary. It's up to y'all. But
if Russell's happy to share, I'm happy to share. And we can talk more about that process too, because it was so F-bombing cool to see him take my story and like, he read the story and then like 2 hours later, he's like, here's the script. It was like 15 pages. And I'm like, I didn't even agree to this yet. And you already wrote the script. So it was really, really cool.
I will say that at $10, the everyone who backed at $10 or above gets the all of the things you just mentioned. Then at $100, I'm
I think it's $15.
oh, at 15, sorry. At
Yeah.
15 at there's like $110. I'm doing a master class on like how to turn a romance book into a romance comic. And
Love it.
yes. And so that was like, well, I bet a bunch of once this hits like 15 grand, a bunch of romance people are going to be like, how do I do it? And so like we have it, like we have the thing,
And I
but
I baked the SEO in heavily because I
I
wanted to
love
hit
it.
the comic audience and the romance book audience. So I'm hoping, now that we have projects we love, and once we hit funding, I'm hoping that people searching for romance campaigns start to see this popping up.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, so where should we go next, Lee? Like what questions do you still have?
Well, I'm excited and I'm wondering about our listeners because by the time they come to this, the 30-day period of the Kickstarter might be over or will be over, correct? And is it always 30 days? That's such a newbie question, but
No, it can be up to 60 days. I actually recommend a 14 to 20 day campaign, with 17 being the optimal number of days to maximize revenue while minimizing stress. Like I've run all sorts of campaigns, and 17 days is like 17 to 20 days is the ideal for most people.
We need like a one sheet of Russell's rules for really good Kickstarters, but make it all ours so it's better and more alliterative, but just like these bullet points of quick things,
Well,
because there's so much to consider.
yeah, and in our Kickstarter accelerator course, I have a Kickstarter checklist which has all of the Kickstarter things, which we can put in the show notes too. Like I give it to people whenever.
put that in the show notes, and
It's a really good course.
a way they can find this project after the Kickstarter is over. Because sorry you missed out. It's awesome, guys. That's not a sneak peek. But it will be available, like you said, on your Patreon or Substack.
The publisher is going to be the publisher will figure that thing out. We probably won't do the actual recording of the masterclass until like a few months after the campaign. So we'll probably open it up again and be like, who else wants to be in on it later?
Russell's and my catchphrase for this project, which we developed about a month ago and makes us so happy, is that's Lori's problem. So
love it.
We got a publisher on board. We're like, hey, we don't have to worry about this. So that's another one of those things that's Lori's problem.
Yes, absolutely. And like, I'm very big when you work with partnerships that like if you haven't, you either have to have the definitive opinion or no opinion. And I don't like care which one you are, but like I don't want you to have either like you have a wishy-washy opinion, like it's not helpful in a partnership, because you're like, okay, that doesn't help me. Like, should we do it? Like, do you want to take the lead on this, or do you want to like and then like, of course you have to say, yes, this is good, or no, this is not good. But like for me, especially working with Monica for as long as I have, a lot of it is like, I care, and a phrase that I say a lot in the past month, especially, is I care about this, but not enough to defend it.
Nice. Yeah, just say, I don't know if you don't know, right?
One thing I really love and is praise for Russell is it was important for us to make a comic for the female gaze, because so many comics really objectify women and their boobs are too big for their back to support and all these problems. And as we're working on the art, Russell really acquiesced and took a back seat to me and the female comic book artist, because he didn't want to inadvertently insert the male gaze. And I think that was really important. And I felt very respected, because Russell probably wouldn't have objectified our characters, but just like taking into that consideration was huge for me and made me respect Russell so much. And I think made this project even better.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Love that. And so what are the components of the Kickstarter and what are the tiers? That is a word I am learning.
Okay, well, so there's three major sections. There's the basics section, which will be like your title, your subtitle, your video, your image, and how long the campaign is. And then there's rewards, which then there's story, which is the sales page. It's Kickstarter, like just your story is your sales page. So many authors are like they take the story element and they're like, one day 5 years ago, I woke up and and I'm like, that's not like just like it's not an actual story. And then the third part is the rewards, and so we have a bunch of rewards. I recommend you do a bare bones tier of just like ebook, a special edition tier, which would have like it doesn't even have to have it doesn't even have to be a different version of the book. It should probably have a different cover. But like I usually just like create a PDF or something that's like the original script, like the story, like the outline, like all sorts of like special edition bonus material and author commentary. Author commentaries are like my favorite because I just sit there and read the book. I read through the book and I tell stories like it's kind of like a director's commentary. Then the book, like the physical book, and that's your core product. Usually it's going to be like $25. And then you have your maximizers. So like being written into the book, like Tuckerized, special thanks, bonuses, bundles, book boxes, all sorts of like goodies and things that if you have additional covers, if you have like a different, like we have metal covers and like virgin variant covers, if you have like discrete covers, like whatever it is, like having those other options available.
One thing important with comics that's very different from most romance book Kickstarters is it's expected and encouraged to have multiple different covers.
Yes.
So I think we ended up with 8 or 9 total. And that and naughty versus nice, some with clothes, some without, and then virgin versus trade dress versus metal versus there was definitely a huge crash course. I think that's the day where we actually had our conflict because I'm like, I don't understand. Romance readers aren't going to understand what's virgin, when is it metal, and he's like, you should know about comics. I'm like, but this is confusing. I don't know about comics yet.
Sure.
Is that an art style? Give us the crash course.
It has text on it. So
yes. So like the trade dress, so like the logo would be the title. So this hospice is what we would call the logo. You can, if you have this on with like your publisher, all of this stuff, the damned good thing, all of this is called trade dress. This is just the standard cover. If you had something like, okay, like just this image without any trade dress,
no
that
text.
would be called a virgin cover.
Got it.
And then
and you can be a naughty virgin or a nice virgin.
Yes.
I can guess what the difference between those two are.
So oftentimes with naughty and nice, it's as simple as the same exact pose, but like naked or clothed.
Yes,
but
please.
You can, like what we did on this campaign, and what I realized, what Lori told me later she really liked was our naughty and nice poses were totally different from the same artist. So we had very different poses.
How many artists did you have on this?
Okay, so there was Yishan, Melissa.
I have the Kickstarter page pulled up, and it was really important.
5.
It was more because it was really important for me that every author get acknowledged on the page with a bio and image. So
yeah,
it was 5 who
1,
did
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, total of 10 creators, including me and Russell and the publisher.
Wow.
Yes. And so we had cover art by, and I guess we should go like there are multiple stages of making a comic. So like there's the sketch stage, which is someone doing sketches and basic sketches and then sending it to you for approval. There are what's called pencils, which are someone doing what the underlying part of it is. Then once those are approved, it goes to inks, which are someone inking over. And each of these change wildly depending on the artist that you hire. And you can hire someone to just do your sketches or your like page layouts. And So then you have colors, which is kind of self-explanatory. Someone takes the inks and does color, or if it's black and white, does grayscale. I would not recommend, I would recommend doing color for Kickstarter comics at least. And then you have lettering. And lettering includes creating the logo, doing all the speech bubbles and the text on the page. And so the special edition also has all of these stages listed, and also on the author stack, there's a article about like the problems that authors make when they're trying to do comics that lists out each stage. And so
I want to. Can I add?
Yeah.
Because you're talking about the art. I want to
Yes.
also talk about the text involved. So first we had the short story, which Russell adapted to the comic script, which we hit back and forth probably 3 times, where I was just being OCD about the text and the story's continuity and what was cut and what wasn't cut. Then we had a cultural sensitivity reader. Since we have some Mexican cultural elements, I wanted to make sure we had that sensitivity reader. Then we had an editor. So then the English was done. Then we had a French translator, and then we had a French editor. So a lot going on with the text piece as well.
Yes. And then, so the covers, aside from the logo, the people that actually drew covers were the interior artist, Yishan Lee. She did 2 covers, a Naughty and Nice. Kat Farrell, who did a Naughty and Nice version of the same pose. We had Luca Strati,
My favorite.
who did 2 different versions of very different, wildly different poses, like 2 completely new illustrations.
And his Nice cover has full on ass. It's
Yes.
amazing. It's the most popular cover in the campaign.
Yeah, for sure. And then we had Melissa Pagliuca, who did the same cover. What she did is like, we liked 2 color treatments that she did. So we just were like, can we just have both of them?
Love it.
And
Yes,
then, yes. And then finally we had Jen St. Ange, who like I've been dying to work with for years. And while there were some hiccups there, I think that her cover is amazing. And she did a Naughty and Nice version of the same pose. So
And
like that, I think is
Natasha Snow, who did the short story cover. And
Yes.
she's an artist a lot of authors might have worked with and recognized. Amazing.
I've worked
covers.
with her. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's
Awesome.
It's actually her pre-made cover that I bought in a sale inspired the story to begin with.
yeah. And
So she's included too.
yeah, and all
That
of
is
the
so cool.
art, all the cover art, interior art is like based on that initial like cover. So yeah, that's 11. I got 11, right? 11 covers.
I don't know. There's just an ass ton of
Yes.
covers.
And then there's I think 10 you can get during the campaign, and then you can get them all virgin, and then you can get them all metal. And so that's up to 30 covers that you get.
And English versus French too.
Yes. And so that's 60 right there of like different color potential
Wow.
combinations.
I think we're going to have to wallpaper part of our offices if we want to show everything off, Russell.
I would absolutely. I love art and paying artists, and it sounds
Me
like you
too.
paid all the artists. It's like when you're at the restaurant and they're like, what sauce do you want for your French fries? And you're like, every single sauce.
Yes.
We did. And that's why it was really important for me that every single artist who had a hand in the project was acknowledged on the page. Right now, AI is a really contentious issue. And we have a lot of art, and it was all commissioned and human made. And I wanted, for people who that's important to, I wanted them to know that.
Yeah.
Without having to
Absolutely.
say anything negative. Like, we didn't want to make an AI statement. Like, we promise. It's like, we just wanted to focus on the positive instead of, bringing any sort of author politics onto our campaign. We just wanted everything to be positive.
Yeah.
And also we're doing this in a different format. So I showed you this size format, which is normal comic. So it's closer to this size of what the actual comic is, like this back size. It's 8.5 by 11.5. So for people who just want to get a cover and maybe frame it, they can do that. Like we also have,
French style.
Yeah, I think preview. I think we have like prints also available during the campaign of just the covers. But usually this cover is not big enough to frame on a regular comic. But like we made, because the book is just, and that all goes back to like this is why I think everyone needs an editor or like someone who knows comics and they're going to make this transition, because like that is the first decision that we made. What size is the book? And like you can't, if you change that, you can't like change it. Like the art is all done by what the final size is going to be. So if you don't know what your final size is going to be, or like you try and change it later, like you can't do that. The same thing if you're trying to do a webtoon, which is an online format that like is a vertical scroll. Like you have to know you're going to do a vertical scroll format, and then you have to translate it into a regular comic. So like there's all of these things. Every comic almost is like there's some standard formats, but every comic can be slightly different format, and you would not know that if you were if you make the wrong decision, it influences literally every other decision.
This is such a great crash course. Thank you. I'm really interested in the webtoon side of it. Would you add, I mean, you already have the print. And you're going to release the print version as an ebook. Would you adapt it to webtoon?
The problem with the way that we made it is there are very important structural decisions that happen during sex scenes, and the major audience for those webtoon are 13 to 17-year-old people. So we would have to like take all of that out. And I feel like it's like then you would only have like 10 pages of thing, and like at least one massive like unchangeable story thing happens during a sex scene.
Understand. Okay. So it really is such a different version. This is good to know because, some formats you're like, get the hardback out, get the paperback out. It's going to be a PDF file interior, but this is art. So It's a lot more complicated. I had no idea it was so complicated. This is so awesome.
Well, and you should look at Amelia Rose, because Amelia Rose does a sexy werewolf webtoon that I believe is clean on webtoon, but then when she releases it on Kickstarter and to her paid communities, it has a sweet and sexy version. So like if you want to do that, I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
And because I met her at the mastermind, I have a meeting with her in an hour.
Yeah. So
I will be asking her that. Thank you for mentioning it.
Nice.
Now I know what to ask her.
Awesome. All right. We've been going about an hour. So any final questions that you have?
No, I am excited that you have some tutorials and beginner stuff you can put in the show notes as resources, because I didn't even know what to ask, guys. And I feel like I learned a lot, and I'm really excited because we get to make things we love, and then we get to just take that IP and turn it into art and other editions and all the things. And you're sending me a link.
I did. That's the mistake. I put it in the show notes. Like just these things need to go into show notes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's called The 5 Biggest Mistakes. Hang on. The 5 biggest mistakes writers make when turning their books into comics. And the number one, the easiest one to fix is hire an editor before you even start. That's like the biggest shift because mostly you write a book and then you hire an editor later. And like an editor cannot help you if you've already done the art. Like you have to do. No idea. So like you want to hire a comic book editor, like just like you would hire like you wouldn't make a translation and then hire you'd hire the translator. Like an editor is going to really guide you in the whole process of like what artists to pick, what format to make. Like if you are like, I don't know any artists, like they'll be able to guide you in all of those things. And let me tell you, like the biggest problem is finding an artist who will actually deliver on the book. And like that, and an artist who has done comics before. There's all these mistakes that like, it feels like comics should be intuitive because it's a book and you may have made 150 books before, you've made a bunch of books, but like it is almost like the opposite thing. It's like all of the things that you think are an opposite land with comics.
I'm learning that. One more question. Do you have a French landing page, like a landing page for the French audience, or is it all one landing page, just like this is all one Kickstarter project?
We have one page that has French and English. The nice thing about Kickstarter is they have searchable headlines. So we have like a headline in English and then a headline in French, then a headline in English and a headline in French. And so
There's
hopefully,
a linked table of contents on this side.
yeah.
Got it. So it's like, oh, I want the French version.
Yes.
Click. Gotcha. Okay, cool.
And we have a note at the top in the English section as well. Like, hey, if you speak French, go here.
Nice. Y'all just doing advanced level Kickstarter stuff over here. I'm trying to wrap my head around it, but I love it. And you guys are excited. So congratulations on your Kickstarter launch day. And I can't wait to hear about more when it wraps up. What's the term?
Yeah, wraps up.
And
I have a question. I have a question for both of you before we go, and that is, will this episode air before Russell gives his adapting romance novels into comics talk? And if so, where can people register for that? And if not, where can people get that replay even if they missed the Kickstarter?
Sure. Let's come up with a link now. I'm going to say it's going to be russellnolte.com/ sexy time comic class.
Love it. I'm there. I am in the front row.
You gotta bring the puns, man.
For this. It's amazing. And yeah, thank you so much. This is great. We got a lot of show notes for you guys. I'm going to click on all of them. And once again, Russell, you end the podcast with homework. I feel like I should assign myself some homework. And that is actually to email Lori back and talk about art, because my co-writer and I are doing a foray into special editions. That's going to be our starting point, and commissioning art. And she has a Ream account, which is like Patreon, only better. And I'm going to be talking to Amelia Rose in 45 minutes about that. And art will be a part of it. I know. It's so fun.
Okay, so I'll give you one hint. One last thing for you doing a special edition books, because you probably want to do illustrations, and inside of that you want to do color illustrations. There are only two that I can think of, and one that I know for sure because like multiple people have done it. That usually what happens with the printer is you pay all black and white or all color, but Bookvault only charges you for the color pages. So if you only have 8 illustrations or 10 illustrations, or like you only want to do the header images of color, you only pay for those pages. I still can't believe that they do that. I think that's
amazing.
I think there's like one other company that I can't think of that does it, but Bookvault definitely does it. And like, let me tell you, the difference in black and white and color is like $4 a page or $5 a page. It's an enormous thing. And it's so annoying when you have a black and white book with like one illustration, because you then have to be like, well, either it's all color or none of it's color. And so that's a really, really, if you're doing those, that's will save you a lot of money.
And Bookvault integrates with Shopify, which is the direct option that we've chosen to go hard on. We haven't touched Kickstarter yet. So yeah, I'm excited. And we already have Bookvault hooked up, and these will be special editions on our store with art. And they do like really pretty sprayed edges. And now I sound like a commercial for Bookvault, but that's okay. We love them.
Yes. Awesome. Any final words, Melissa, before we get out of here?
Thanks for having me here. Thanks for being my Kickstarter and comic mentor, Russell. And Lee, I always love your courses and the things you have to say, because you have a lot of knowledge, but you're also really entertaining, and it's hard to keep my focus. You always do. So hopefully we have kept the audience's focus today. And yeah, if anybody needs me for anything, I'm around social media. Come find me. But it's better if you talk to Russell and Lee.
Awesome. And I am not on social media. You can find me at the Author Stack or writermba.com. Lee, any final words before we get out of here?
Thank you guys so much. This is unlocked a Pandora's box for me, and I'm just going to go digest that for a second.
Amazing. Awesome.
That's what she said.
On that note, that's it. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening. For more, head on over to sixfigureauthorexperiment.com for archive access, resources, and more. We'll see you next time.